Some of you may not know what B-roll is. Some of you may do it all the time. So I'm just going to be going over the basics, showing you some of the tools we use. I could go forever on this kind of thing. I'm kind of a gearhead, so I'm not even going to show you all the things that we use at BYU Photo, just the basics. So I'll just start with just a basic definition of what B-roll is. And to me, there can be a lot of definitions of B-roll, but to me, it's just any secondary footage in a video. And Jaron was speaking mostly yesterday about an interview, so that's what I'm going to be focusing on. B-roll footage in an interview is, well, think about it. Every time you see an interview, you don't want to just see a talking head for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long your interview is. B-roll is your opportunity as the visual director to tell the story visually. This is something you do all the time as photographers, as photojournalists. When you go to an event, you don't just shoot the speakers. You'll shoot the crowd. You'll shoot interesting details at the scene. That's what B-roll is, and it's very, very important. As I explained in the handout, Allie, can you hand these out? Your editor will love you if you take the time to shoot the B-roll, because not only will it make your piece more visually interesting, but sometimes there's pauses, there's lapse in an interview. They cough, they will hiccup, sort of things like that. And to cover up those visual disturbances in your interview piece, you're going to need something to cut to. You can't just cut from talking to talking. It's not smooth, it's not clean, it's not professional. So there's a ton of reasons to shoot B-roll, and I'm sure you can come up with more, but for me, it's really that visual thing. I'm a photographer primarily, and I shoot a lot of video, but especially in an interview, I'm not satisfied just shooting someone talking. And I'm sure all of you are coming from that exact same background as me. But there are a lot of differences. It's the same purpose that we shoot B-roll, but there's a lot of differences. The main thing that I've noticed photographers shooting video is that you start to think that you can fake some of the things that I'm going to be talking about. And let me just tell you that take the time, don't try and fake anything. The biggest thing about video is that it needs to be smooth always. For a photo, you just need to have that camera stationary for a fraction of a second. Video, it always needs to be smooth. So we use tools like a fluid head on a tripod. The handheld rig, Jaron likes this. I'm not as big a fan of it. I use a Steadicam a lot, jibs, and these are tools that you may find that you need if you start doing a lot more video. But to start, they're not as important. The first piece that you might need is very simply a loop. This is the Zacuto Z Finder. It's kind of the industry standard. There's a lot more things out there. I don't own one of these, and I don't think I need to. There's cheaper options out there, and they'll work just as fine too. But the reason here is that for video, obviously, you know, you're going to see it back here. And you may have seen in the back Nikon yesterday, I had kind of another version of the handheld rig. The biggest thing right here is that it will give you another point of contact. Another thing I see a lot of photographers doing, if you don't have that to start out and you want to get a little bit more stationary footage, you take your camera and you hold it against your neck right there. So you got another point of contact to get that fluid movement. But to expand upon that, you get one of these, and it's more connected to you, and you can see it on a bright sunny day. So that's the most basic tool for shooting anything. Obviously, an interview is pretty easy. All you need is a tripod. Which brings me into the next piece, the video tripod. I'm sure all of you have a tripod. But let me just tell you, if you're going to be shooting video, you need a video tripod, and there's many reasons for that. If you're not going to just be locked off, just shooting plain straight, which I'm sure a lot of you won't be satisfied as you get into video, you're going to need a fluid head. And I've tried to do it, I've done it, and it doesn't look good. Getting moving video on a ball head, such as, can I borrow your tripod right here? Such as this, it's next to impossible. So that is one of the most basic tools for you moving into video is this fluid head. Not only can you get panning movements like that, but you get the tilts. And if you get really good, you can get a panning and tilt moving in there. But let me just caution you. This is one of the tools where you're going to want to spend your money. Jaron has our better fluid head, which he's recording on right now. But with this tripod head, it's a little cheaper. This is a Manfrotto 501 or something. I don't have any problems going like this or like this, but the minute you're trying to get more dynamic moves or you're changing directions during a movement, you're not going to get as good results as with a more expensive. And I've used fluid heads that are five grand. You don't need that. They are awesome if you're shooting a lot of video and you need professional results immediately. But start out with something like this, work on the basic movements. But for me, one of the best reasons for buying a video tripod is something that this is a little new to you. It's this ball right here. And for photo, it doesn't really matter. You kind of set it up, and then with that ball head, you can level it. But video, it needs to be level or it's gonna look bad. You can't go back and crop it always after the fact. So on every good video tripod, you're gonna have a level right here and this ball adjustment. And all you do is loosen it right there. You look at that, and you can tighten it down, and it's that fast. And you're level, and you're gonna get a lot better image than if you're tilty, unless you're one of those creative people that likes a tilted image. Other tools is something like a shoulder rig right here. And obviously, there are a lot of variations out here. There's everything from very, very expensive kits to very, very low-end kits. They all have a purpose. They all have their niche. Do you mind if I see your striker thing? This is something the Nikon guy was showing yesterday. This is a fantastic way to start. It's a little more limited than some other rigs because you can't configure things. But if you're just looking for a little bit more steady video, this is a great way to go. And you see it has a loop on there as well. But that's the thing. I'll go back to what I said before. A lot of photographers think you can fake it in video. You can kind of get away with some things in photo. You kind of just gaff tape everything down and it stays, and you just need it for that fraction of a second. Video, you really can't do that, and you'll find that. So take the time, spend the money if you need. But for things like B-roll, they're just absolutely crucial to your piece. So don't mess around. Hopefully I can teach you a few things today about that. But I'm just going to talk a little bit more theory as far as B-roll. And these are things that you can take from your photo experience and apply them to video. It's just telling a story visually. I put a few tips down on here, and my first one, and that's probably the best advice I can give you, is that the best B-roll is planned. Like in photojournalism, sometimes you can just show up, you see a scene, you can just start taking pictures. One of the biggest differences between photo and video, that sometimes it takes a lot more people, a lot of times it takes a lot more time, but you'll find that pre-production is where that time is really going to. And that's going to save you a lot of time, and you're going to get a lot better results. So every time that we shoot B-roll, we do it for a purpose. Photo, it's really easy to just snap pictures of everything, and you can go out and edit it later. Video, especially if you're working with an editor, or if you're editing the piece yourself, you're gonna only want to take those video clips that you know you're going to use. So the best B-roll is planned, and the way I kind of directed you on this handout is that if you're shooting an interview piece, have the director or the interviewer take notes on things that are applicable to the piece. Or if you've met with your subject before, take notes on things that you're going to want to shoot and cut into that video. And that can be anything from if you're shooting a dancer, let's say, an interview with a dancer, you might want to shoot them in their studio working out, some of the tools that they use, and this is where you can be creative, so be excited. Yeah, just very generally, take the detail shots. Go close. You can shoot B-roll while you're shooting your A-roll footage. A-roll is obviously just the main interview. But if you have a second camera, if you have a second camera operator, set that up. Take detail shots of their face. If it's applicable to your piece, a lot of times I'll have another camera recording the interviewer. If the interviewer is not important, don't bother. But if the interviewer is applicable to the piece, have a camera on them as well. A lot of directors, and DPs, they won't leave a place without taking close-up detail shots of people's hands. So if that works with your style, if that's something you think that you'll use, just practice your direction as far as taking hand shots. It seems a little weird, but it's something that your editor can cut to if they need to, and it's creative. Obviously, take the wide shots, just in the same vein of going up, taking the detail shots, go wide. Shoot them in their environment. That's one of my favorite things to do in both photo and video. Show where they work, show the general scene. You'll see in a lot of videos, they'll start out with random B-roll clips of places in their hometown or things like that. It just kind of introduces you to your subject and their environment. So just think in that way. What can I shoot that'll tell that story? And the great thing about those kind of shots is down here, I said, collect stock footage. Especially for the university photographer, we have a lot of clips that we could use for a lot of different things. Labs, students on campus, things like that. You don't have to just use your footage from this project on this project. If you're in a cool environment, in an interesting lab that you don't get to go to a lot, just take a little extra time, shoot some interesting things. You may find that you need it later on. So complicates the storage a little bit, but find a solution now for archiving your video that you can get to quickly, because you may find that you use it on other projects. Make your shots dynamic. The A-roll footage in an interview is just locked off. It's static. It's a little stale sometimes. That's why we shoot B-roll, to make it more interesting and make it so the editor can cut. So it's a little daunting as you're first getting into it, but make those shots move. Learn when to move the camera. A lot of times when photographers are moving into video, they have all these tools like a jib, like a Steadicam, and they just start using them. And that's great for learning, but you'll learn that there's times to move the camera, and you'll kind of add that to your creative mind. I'm going to move this camera to convey this message. It's an entirely different level from just that visual thing of photography. Not only are you getting the image, but you're moving the camera to tell a reason. And for me, when I direct my personal stuff, the only time I use a shoulder rig is when I want a little bit of a shakier video. For whatever reason. You may have seen in the intro scene of Saving Private Ryan, a lot of it's handheld with something like this. They didn't have DSLR cameras back then. But it gives you a little more of that moving footage, and sometimes you want that. So just like photo, there's rules, and one of the rules in photo is make sure that camera's stationary and smooth, but sometimes you break the rules, and you do that for a purpose. But make sure you only do it for a purpose. So I'm just, yeah. So I'm just gonna wrap that up. I probably left out some things. I'll leave some time at the end for questions. But don't forget the B-roll. Allie will probably talk about this in her class tomorrow. You need B-roll for everything. And that, it depends what you're working on, but you'll always need it, so add that to your vocabulary. So I'm just going to kind of start going right into it. Jaron wanted me to shoot some B-roll for his piece that he shot yesterday. And him being the director, I might ask him to come and direct me.
Okay, we need camaraderie photos. So our star, why don't you come right here? And I need some good-looking photographers. Can somebody call people that are not here yet? 2 or 3 photographers, just come on up. Don't be afraid.
Come on.
Okay.
Hey, comrade!
Wait for it.
So
he's not ready.
So go ahead and tell a story. You know, tell a story to these guys. One of your great stories about something that happened while you're shooting. You guys, come on up. Come on up.
What white balance are you? Where are you at?
Go for it.
There's too much right here. Separate the whites. Yeah. There we go.
And you need a white balance here? You can certainly have a diverse group of people at UPAA, don't we?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to try and do the best I can. You guys go ahead. Pretend.
Look at the camera.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on up here.
Is that on?
Well, let's talk about your rig.
Hey, Jaron.
You want to talk about your rig? I want to see the how the viewfinder thing is. Yeah.
I apologize. Technical difficulties.
Your battery.
Press record. Ah, there we go. All right.
We're getting paid.
So I'm going to be shooting on the shoulder rig. I have what right here. It's called a follow focus, and that connects us to gears on my lenses, which is going to allow me to manually focus. Because as you may know, it's almost impossible for autofocus to happen during DSLR video.
To do video stuff with, but
I don't want my boss to know, but I've got a camera that can do it.
So I said before that I almost never use this shoulder rig because it's hard to get a steady movement. But you'll find that as you improve your skills, as you have more experience, you'll be able to get steady movements with whatever tools you have. So don't let me complain too much.
it's just like shoot details. Yeah, that's what we're doing. I mean, the only
Ryan,
thing
just talk
to take
through a
away
little
from
what
this
you're
is get
Okay.
the verticals. I mean, remember you shoot wide, middle.
And
The web's pretty much.
Jaron's the director of this piece, so he can direct me. But I'm just focusing in on the detail shots right now. I'm pushed in
Suddenly I'm so self-conscious.
on this gentleman,
I just jumped in because
and then that'd be nice.
We don't need a stinging light.
One important thing to note is that in between each shot, leave a few seconds. The editor may need that for the cuts. So one of the hardest things for a camera operator to do is after you get a really good shot, you just want to press that record button. You're done. You got the shot, but let it roll for a few seconds. You'll use it.
Okay, tell me when you got what you need, Ryan. Now, this is something I'm going to trust him because I didn't see what he's seeing.
come on, group hug,
Give him a hug. Give him a hug.
That's very. Okay.
Did you get that?
Okay. Do we have another setup?
Yeah, okay.
You good?
You guys did good. Sit down.
Thank you, sir.
Good work.
Can you guys talk right here? This is my direction. Chat. So Ryan's just going to get a shot of them chatting. So talk about how you approach that static shot.
Yeah, for a shot more like this,
You're gonna go natural.
yeah, I'm gonna
Go wide.
go.
Up tight.
I'm gonna use the tripod.
Yeah, exactly. Look at my SAG card now.
Pretty cool.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what they gave you yesterday.
So Jaron's going ahead and helping me on that. I appreciate that. But for a shot like this, I wouldn't go handheld because there's absolutely no reason to go handheld. I'm going to put it on a tripod for that exact reason. Thanks, Sharon.
Okay, now, you need a better background, so I can get you guys to just come over and sit in this background right here. Same thing, go talk, have fun. We want it to actually look like people came to your show. It seems to be collateral damage. So everybody just go ahead and just talk. Don't look at the camera.
Yeah. So again, every shot that I do, I make sure to level the tripod. It's something you'll forget to do.
Well, that is the thing. It looks a whole lot less. I mean, I like travel. Yes, I do. I know the monitor. You probably I was more referring to it. Yeah, to the start. Yeah, and I love how it just.
It's a clever little hand there.
Yeah, well, I know the arm.
So notice how he turns around and he's getting this other detail shot here. And he's just doing a nice slight pan here.
We're actually talking about taking direction.
Yeah, don't mind me.
Now, Ryan, just go ahead and get a few of them at the table here.
All right. So remember, just every shot, make sure you level that tripod. It's something, it's really easy to forget, but you're gonna kick yourself after. So just make it a habit and you'll be a lot better off. Yeah, this one's a little lower end. I think this tripod head is probably in the range of $200 to $300. And this pair of sticks probably about the same. So total maybe around 500. Okay. What's that? That's a good idea. What's that? Oh yeah. What that does, and it's something I just barely. I'll talk about that more after. It's a device called a follow focus, and it goes on that rail system, and it has another ring right here, and that's how you focus, because you don't get any autofocus with this kind of a camera. Which that's one of the tough things. So it's nice to have that follow focus.
Go slower.
Anything else you see, Jaren?
Yeah, I have one more setup. We'd like to volunteer to receive an award. Yeah, I need 3 people. Hey, come on up. Okay, Ryan, I'm going to do a grip and grin. I want you to shoot the photographer, like talking to him, just doing the setup with the camera, with tight shots on the camera. Can you be the photographer for it? So you're taking a group shot of these guys right here. So you guys out here, you're going to be passing the award of President of the United States or something. So I want you to stand right there, and he's going to get shots of you kind of changing your aperture, putting lens on and off, just a couple really tight shots. Okay? So yeah, really tight.
Okay.
So just listen to Ryan, he'll tell you what to do.
All right, let me just focus. Okay. So what did Jaren say you wanted to do? Okay, yeah, here, do that again. Yeah, here, wait. Can you take that off? And go ahead. All right, now pull it up to your eye.
Go ahead and direct the group shot now, like tell them what to do.
You guys get together. Right here. 1, 2. There you go.
Make them laugh.
Do one more.
Pick on them. Pick on them a little bit. Look at that. Is that the best you got? Come on.
Right there.
Pick on him.
He's getting an award.
I know. And now you can pick on him.
You look great.
Okay, would you mind doing that entire scene again for the camera? Just take the lens off, put it on. Okay, go ahead and just make it natural. Pull it up to your eye right when you're ready.
Can you guys get together here for a quick group shot? Congratulations. Perfect. Looking right here. Thank you.
You don't really have to.
All right, that exact same thing one more time. All right.
So we're just going to get as
All right,
much
go-
difference variety
go
as
ahead.
we can in a short period of time.
You guys look right here. Congratulations. Nice quick photo.
If even the interview will be about a minute.
All right, now real quick, I'm just gonna get you guys. I don't know if Jaron wants this,
We don't need a
but
lot, but the variety.
all right, yeah, just whatever's natural, and then you do the same thing with your direction. All right, go ahead.
Together here.
Yeah.
Group shot. Looking right here.
This, or
Perfect.
should we stand
No,
like back to back, or
something comfortable. Okay, well,
yeah, we got to get the prize though, right?
Perfect.
Okay, I have one more shot I wanted to get, and it's a detail shot, very tight, just camera face, front of face, sight, direct sight. So
Okay.
pull forward.
Profile.
Yeah, profile. So put the camera so we can focus.
Okay. Let me. Doesn't
This
matter.
side, that side blocks. So come on this side, just because.
Oh, good call.
So pull your camera up over here so you can see close. I'm talking like here. So this is just a super thing. So, good. So have the camera down, pull it up, talk to me, kind of converse with me. You ready? Tell me when you're ready.
I'm almost there. Tight, Jaron.
Yeah, tight. This is just the tight detail.
Okay, locked.
Okay, we're ready?
All right, let's have a nice picture.
Oh, do you want me to?
Let's hands on each side. There you go. Perfect. You're very distinguished. Thank you. All right.
Wow. You haven't yet? Have you taken enough pictures of me? I'm cutting your budget.
No.
See, that's how our banquets usually go. Anything else you think on that?
I think I'm good on that.
Do you want to do a deep, tight detail of a lens change, maybe?
Yeah. Yep. I do. So that same
Okay, we have
kind
one
of
more
thing.
shot we're trying to do. We're just doing a tight detail shot of a lens change. There's something that's simple you don't think about, but when you're talking about photographers, it actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
What's the device on the lens?
Oh, that's a ring for the follow focus.
Yeah, I'll make sure to talk about that at the end. Okay, go ahead. That exact same thing. Okay, can you do it one more time?
Pull your lens off and back on down there.
Oh, you pan while he's going up with it?
Go ahead.
He's bringing it up to his eye.
Good.
All right, I'm gonna get one of those as well. Okay, that exact same thing. Making you work. Go ahead.
Good.
Solid. And just one more of that.
Actually, about 40.
Two more. All right, go ahead. And this is the last one.
I'll actually wait for you to tell me to go ahead.
All right, action.
Any more beer? You think we have enough?
Do you think we have enough?
Yeah. Okay.
Allie, do we have enough B-roll?
We have more than enough.
Okay. So yeah, let's check with the editor because they really run the show. So we're just gonna wrap up and do some questions right now.
Yeah. Cool. So if you have two people, if it's all just you, it's all up to you, and you're responsible for all of it. But it's nice when you have a director and a camera operator, because you'll find, especially when you're first getting into it, just like when you're learning photography, you're thinking about all your settings. You're thinking about how to get this really smooth. You're not thinking creatively, and your pieces are going to suffer for that. So if you have a director, you see Jaron didn't have to worry anything about the camera. He was just saying, he was thinking up his next shot while I was taking that shot. So it's really great. So if you have a student, abuse them. Make them learn video so you don't have to. But I really do encourage you all to learn video. Because it's going to become a lot more applicable to us, especially as our cameras are equipped to take such amazing video. Take advantage of it. I don't know if, for me, I get bored if I'm doing the exact same thing all the time, and video is kind of an opportunity to expand, to learn, to grow. So I encourage you to do that. So I appreciate you coming to this class. I had a couple questions on this ring on my camera. This is just a geared ring, and it connects with this device right here. And this can be configured on any sort of rail system. Like I have a couple of these, and I have a bunch of different rail systems. And they're all interchangeable. These are 15mm rails. That's kind of the standard, unless you're using a red camera that use bigger rails. But yeah, this, very simply, you may have found if you try to shoot video, focusing is an issue. This right here is called a follow focus, and this ring connects with the ring on my camera. And the great thing about it is that on here, you can write with like a erasable marker, and you can set marks. And you don't do that a lot for just kind of documentary style stuff, but when I've shot short films and stuff, when you're using direction, you may have your talent hit marks. And you can just follow it the best you can on the monitor, but unless you're a pro, that's really difficult. So you can set those marks so you can hit it every time, and you won't have to worry about it. But follow focus is one of those basic tools. They can be really expensive. This one right here from jag35.com is like 135 bucks. Oh, sorry. Oh, I apologize.
No, it's them. It's not you.
So do you have any questions? I'll kind of open it up for questions. Go ahead.
I have a question. How does audio relate to B-roll? Have you ever do B audio?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. You can cut in ambient noise, and you don't necessarily have to worry so much about recording while you're shooting your B-roll, unless you need to for some reason. But a lot of times you want that ambient noise to balance it, because sometimes, especially if they're in a noisy scene and you have them laved up and you have a shotgun and it's only recording there, it doesn't make a lot of sense. There should be that noise. It doesn't make sense visually. So yeah, a lot of times what we do, and we do this for our slideshows for our football games and stuff like that, just go around and record on an audio recorder, just the ambient noise. And you'll find on any film set, the audio technician will just call everyone quiet on set, and for every single scene they're going to record 30 seconds of ambient audio. Sometimes the editor can use that for cutting out audio that they don't want. It's just always good to have. So
Talk about how we always have something just to get the ambient.
yeah, and I mean, in case you do for some reason need that audio, like they were talking and stuff, maybe we wanted to cut that into our piece. It's always good to have this. Ideally, if audio is something you want, you're going to want a second system, which Jaron talked about. You're going to want to record to a separate audio, because on here you pick up all the focusing noise, you pick up all that stuff. So have another person, if it's important, recording separately, and it just becomes more complicated. A shotgun will cut down on some of this noise a little bit because it's directional. It's only going to record stuff in front of it. So we almost always just throw this Rode shotgun recording to the onboard sound. It's just good practice.
So just to be clear, when you're pulling focus, you
Yeah.
set the manual focus, and that's how you're just focusing via.
Yeah, it depends what lens you have. I mean, with these newer lenses, you can manually focus during autofocus. So I don't think we just tape down the auto manual switch. But yeah, if you have some of the old Nikon lenses, you're gonna need to make that manual switch, because there are a couple cameras now, DSLR cameras, that will autofocus during video. It doesn't work. Don't rely on it. Go all manual focus, and right now the best way to do it is with a follow focus. I'm not sure how much Jaron talked about this, but critically focusing is always an issue. When I say critically focus, it means it's really focused. A lot of times it'll look focused on the back of your screen, but when you pull it up on a big monitor, it's not focused. So tools like a loop will magnify that, and you'll be able to focus a little more. But the biggest thing is, whenever possible, on the back of your camera, before you start recording, you can zoom in to 10 times, and that's where you're going to hit that mark exactly. So that's important whenever possible. Try and do that. Any more questions?
Were you zooming at all when you're going around in the B-roll?
Yeah, using a zoom lens is not something that a lot of filmmakers are very used to. and I almost never zoom while I'm recording, but I like having a zoom lens sometimes because some of those shots I wanted tight. So I zoomed in and then I recorded that piece with that tight, and then if I wanted a wide shot, I'd zoom out. But don't try and zoom while you're recording. It doesn't look very good. Sometimes you can do it for creative purposes, but again, it's one of those rules that feel free to break them, but break them with a purpose. Don't just do it because you wanted a pushed-in shot.
Unless you're willing to spend a great deal of money, these zooms do not hold focus through zoom.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Unless it's really wide. Yeah, for a shot where you want to be moving in, which, yeah, we talked a little bit about the panning motion. One of the tools we use a lot is a Dolly Track. And it's one of those more complicated things. It just adds another piece to your kit. But if you find that you're shooting a lot more video and that you need it, that's going to be something you want to buy. And it gives you just a slide movement. We do it a lot for going across and pushing in. So yeah, this is one movement, but it's definitely a different look from this. So there would be reasons why I just stick a tripod here and go across like this. There'd also be reasons where I had it moving across like this. But you can get them long, yeah. Yeah, and a lot of systems you can buy extra track, yeah. That's another thing. There are a ton of tools that wheelchair is something that use a lot, and I said earlier. Don't try and fake it, but if you have something that's reliable, feel free to use it. I know a lot of cinematographers who, when they don't have time to set up a dolly, when the dolly would be in their shot, that kind of thing, they'll have someone pushing them on a sorry, on a wheelchair, and a skateboard's another tool, but just make sure it's up to your standards before you decide to use something like a skateboard.
My question is, you mentioned earlier using a Steadicam, because often you see
Yeah.
a wheelchair and a Steadicam used in tandem. What kind of Steadicam have you had success with?
I've only used a couple of the lower end ones. I bought one off of eBay. It's called the Flycam. It works great. It really does. The trade-off with buying a cheaper Steadicam is the time you're going to take to balance it. A Steadicam is a tool that you need to be absolutely balanced to get good footage. It's not one of those things like a tripod that all I have to do is take 2 seconds to balance it and I'm ready to go. A Steadicam, you need to take a little more time and you need to balance it perfectly. And if you get the cheaper ones, it takes a little more time. Another option is I've used the Glidecam. It's cheaper than some of the higher end stuff, and that's a lot better for balancing. So yeah, just whatever you need to fit your needs. If you have a little more time, you can use the cheaper ones. You have to hand hold them, so again, abuse your students. I'm always running the Steadicam. The thing about a Steadicam, and it's something that a lot of new videographers get really excited about because you can get really cool looking footage. And it's something like right when I got into video, I bought it. But I realized really quickly, you need to be experienced to get good footage with a Steadicam. And that goes for any of these tools. The more experience you have using them, the better you're going to be. So, I mean, there are people who their entire careers are Steadicam operators. And just realize that. You're not going to get the best footage right out of the bat. Sometimes you're going to need to take 10 takes to get a good shot.
You're going to see another video this morning that's half Steadicam and half handheld rig. And it'll just watch for the Steadicam movements that Ryan got. Steadicam, wide angle's better, right? Just to kind of explain that a little bit.
Yeah. Again, it's a creative thing, but when I need like a moving camera for my kind of stuff, I love the Steadicam. But again, I've spent a lot of time practicing it, so I've gotten better. But again, I'm not a professional Steadicam operator. So a lot of times I need to take that shot 3 or 4 times before I can get a good one, whereas a professional would just get it on the first shot. So just realize your limitations. If you do have a lot of money, you can get Steadicams that have a vest system and have this big mechanical arm that will hold it for you. And that's the best way to use a Steadicam. So just realize that with video, just like photo, the more money you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. But you can you can get away with almost nothing. Like I showed you before, you can get good shots with just this against your neck. But 95% of the time, you want smooth video. So take the time, use the tools that you need to get those shots. Another thing with the Steadicam is a lot of directors use the Steadicam operator in the wrong way. If they want a locked off shot, they don't want to pull out their sticks that are packed away in the van. They just tell their Steadicam, come stand here, get a locked off shot. It's wrong because you'll get a little bit of movement. That's not the right thing to do. So obviously, sometimes we have to fudge it a little bit to save time, to save money, that kind of thing. But whenever possible, don't try and fake it, because in video more than still photography, you'll notice it. You'll see those imperfections. Okay, we're kind of wrapping up, so are there any last minute questions? Yeah?
What would you say in terms of budget, just to kind of get started?
Yeah, I'll talk about the basic tools that you need. Most basically, get a good video tripod. And I mean, this is probably as cheap as I'd go, the Manfrotto 501 HD. It's good. It's really good for locked off shots. The biggest thing is that ball. And you can get decent movements. Other tools you can usually buy them together either way. Yeah. That's your most basic tool. Next up, you'd want to get a loop, because just as many, especially when you're going handheld, which, I mean, if you don't have to, don't go handheld, but as many points of contact as you can have. So a kit like this, I mean, how much does that set you back?
You know, I don't remember.
Yeah, the more simple the kit, the cheaper it's going to be, obviously, and they're usually configurable to expand upon later on. So that's the great thing about these rails, is that, I mean, feel free to buy a cheap, simple one, because you can buy more rails to configure your system. So I'd say first tool, tripod. Second tool, a loop. Third, some sort of handheld rig. So it's going to be probably around $500 for a decent fluid head. This loop, yeah, I mean, this one's pretty expensive. This one's like $400, but I used one that was $75. It's a variant of the LCD viewfinder. So that can cost you anywhere from $75 to $400. And these obviously are very configurable, anywhere from $150 to $1,000. What's that?
That's the old one with $150. The new one's much better. And it's $225 or something like that. It's on the list I handed out yesterday. It's on the blog too.
Yeah, and this is the shotgun version. They also have a stereo mic version for more wide sound. So, yeah.
So you use that instead of the built-in mics, so they have mics on the
Yeah, and yeah, it's kind of whoever you ask. If all you're doing for the audio is syncing, a lot of times you can get away with just the built-on. But again, you're gonna pick up sound of your lens focusing and that kind of things, and sometimes that can disturb that syncing. If you're using something like Pluralize, which Ali will talk about, that's a great tool. So yeah, everything we're telling you almost always goes back to the editing, making her life easier. Any more questions?
If you want to go ahead and come up, you can try out our rigs, play with them a little bit. Nice work, Ryan.
Thanks, sir.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah, I'm interested in that.